house. It's the urban heat. Shout out to Coach Live.
Coach LA's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just call it. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. If you got something on your mind, you can call in, you can hit a line. She the realest, ooh, she the realest. You can tap in, loud, or get a business to empower you so that you can do every and anything that you want to. Kicking it with Coach LA's time to listen to conversations that's gonna keep you winning. Sunday nights at 10 p.m. on the urban heat, just call in. Conversations with Coach La 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 La. Coach La 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 La.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all feeling? Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Coach La, your favorite around the way therapist, right here in the Urban Heat Studios. It's a beautiful day in Boston. It is cold, very, very cold. But as I told you guys on my Facebook page, I can't stand winter. I absolutely hate winter. So it's warm in here. Thank God for heat. Because tonight we are warming it up here at the Urban Heat Studios. You know, we are radio with a purpose. So every week on Conversations with Coach La, my goal is to bring on interesting individuals who have something really awesome to talk about and have a very unique story. And this gentleman, I had the pleasure of meeting him at Remy in the City's birthday gathering. Shout out to Remy in the City. And we just kicked it, you know, and I was learning a lot about him and his background. And I found out that he had recently opened up a dispensary right here in Dorchester, which I find absolutely intriguing how the cannabis industry has moved through Massachusetts. So he is a successful entrepreneur. As I just told you, he is the founder of Lowkey Dispensary in Dorchester. But he also has a background in real estate, and he has a beautiful heritage coming from Haiti and coming over here to the United States with his family at a very young age. And he, as most people would know, you face a lot of challenges being a person of color in United States. So he found his way to level up, and he learned a lot of valuable lessons and developed a passion for resourcefulness and entrepreneurship. You know, he's dabbled in all types of different businesses, but one of the things that he's known for is his background in commercial real estate. But one of the things I really loved about my next guest is the work he does in the community, especially around elevating men of color. And he has this wonderful organization called Kings Amongst Kings. And you can find that on Instagram, social media. But he brings men together and provides resources and services to really help them elevate and just be better men overall. And I think that's super, super dope. So I want to welcome to Conversations with Coach La, Mr. Jeff Similien. What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, what's going on, Coach La?
How you doing?
Thank
yes.
you.
Let me put you on camera now. There you go. Y'all can see him now. There he is. So, you know, I'm really impressed by you first and foremost. I want to just salute you and say how much I admire the diversity that you have. You're a husband, you're a father, and you do so many different things. You don't have just one hat that you're wearing. And I think a lot of people might be surprised on all of the different things that you do. Because I didn't know you in real estate, and I definitely didn't know you did.
Oh, really?
Your advocacy. Oh, good Lord. Your advocacy group for men. Didn't know you did that either.
We didn't talk about it.
But that's what I'm saying. I thought you just did cannabis, and that's what intrigued me as we were talking. That you really were already very much into helping men with their mental health, and that's how we connected.
100%.
So, despite everything that I put on that I named, that I know, what you told me, what are some things that people will be surprised about Jeff? So who is Jeff outside of all of these things that I just named?
Who is Jeff outside his things? Honestly, my Jeff is a loving father, loving husband. Uh, I'm so in love with being a father right now with my two beautiful kids and with my son, which is a challenge for me, because I mean he's 2 years old. I'm new to this journey here, so um, and there's no right or wrong way how to do this, right? So it's just being present and just doing my best on a daily basis. Unlike business where there are mentors, not to say they aren't mentors with with fatherhood,
Right.
right? But it's just a different aspect being in this situation. Kids crying, yelling, and for whatever reason, and you just gotta go through it. I slept on the couch last night with the little guy on top of me last night. He was just crying and I didn't know what to do, and he's just
Wow.
calling daddy, daddy, and it was just like, oh, to the rescue. I felt like Batman last night. You know what I mean? 'Cause I was a superhero last night that I was able to calm him down, and he stopped crying. So I was just like, you know what?
Hmm.
I'm about to ride this on the couch, and
Yeah. So
So-
fatherhood,
yeah.
is that something you always wanted to do, is be a dad?
Actually, I was just telling my wife earlier. When you turn 30, it's like there's a switch that goes in your mind. So, my early 20s, it wasn't something like, oh, I'm excited to be a father. I have little sisters that are 12 years apart. So, I was sort of a father figure to them, right? So, just helping guide them, navigate them through life. The mistakes that I made, try to basically help them avoid those pitfalls. So I felt like I had, that experience already, and then that wasn't something that I was looking forward to. And I also have a young nephew, two young nephews now. So, I was also always uncle or a big brother. So fatherhood wasn't something that I was just like, man, I can't wait to have my own. It wasn't until, met my wife, and, we had a beautiful journey. We got married, and that's the next thing,
Hmm.
parent.
Right.
Parenthood.
So it's interesting because one of the things that comes up as a psychotherapist are these time frames that people have, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh man, I'm 30, I need to have kids, I need to get married. It happens a lot, I think, more with my female clients, but men too, like a certain age where you're like, okay, I'm ready to settle down, I'm ready to have kids. So that's interesting that you're saying that wasn't in the forefront of your mind.
Nah, I mean, I remember, I think 2013, I wrote out my 5-year plan, my 5-year goals. That wasn't included in that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it wasn't included in there when and 5 years later, 2018, when I did it again for the next 5 years, it wasn't in there. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So,
Mhm.
and I mean, I think at the time I was dating my wife, but marriage and all those things weren't that, oh man, I need to plan this out. So it was just sort of those things that happened organically to the
Mhm.
point where it was just okay, we at the stage now, and that's the next thing to tighten our relationship and be able to move to the next stage here. Because again, in life there's levels to it, right? So you
Mhm.
can't do the same thing that you were doing that last year. So you got to elevate, you got to level up. So and that's just part of the journey. So
So how old are you?
how old am I? 38.
38. Okay. So you're at a pivotal point. You about to hit 40.
Well,
And
you
it
know,
sounds like you do this 5-year thing.
yeah.
So what's in the plan now? You got 2 years before you hit 40. That's a pivotal year for most people, right?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I got to do certain things by the time I turn 40, by the time I turn 50. So what's on it now?
Well, I'm still writing that, so I'm not done with the 5 year yet. So
Mhm.
I didn't work on that yet. But the 40, it's pretty much it's gonna be within this 40 is gonna fall in between the plans that I have now. So it's pretty much just continue the things that I have going on right now, especially with the dispensary, which I had started in 2018 around that same time. So it was just for me wanting to have 3 retail licenses in Boston. Currently have 2 and the cultivation license. So it's really just expanding on that key thing. So in life, there's this saying: there's your plans and there's God's plan.
Mhm.
So the way that I wrote it down and wanted to execute it, so it didn't go quite that way. You know what I mean?
You didn't see
So,
the wife and the baby.
yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with that aspect. But as far as the business and you know what I mean, and the success on how you envision it, it doesn't really happen that way. So
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. So you always have to pivot and change things and make changes and remove certain people off the team and
Right.
certain things like that and upgrade. Make changes, level up yourself. You know what I mean. Yeah. So I'm in the process of doing all these things and have done all these things. So
Mm-hmm.
going to continue thriving.
So you mentioned adversity. Some of the things you said in your bio is the challenges you faced
100%.
from coming here as a young child from Haiti and your journey from Haiti to United States. What pivotal things do you think sort of shape these 5-year plans? Because it seems like you've been doing them in 5-year intervals. How did your background coming here as a young person sort of shape where you are now?
Well, the best thing that happened to me, honestly, was the day. So when I have an older sister and my mother. So the day that we came, it was in January, I think. And last thing I remember my father telling me at 11, I'm going to tell my dad. I mean, for me, when I was in Haiti, I thought I was living a great life. I went to private school. My dad would drop me off in the morning, would pick me up. So I didn't understand why we were making that decision at an early age. Now that seeing everything that went down in Haiti, it was just like, oh, maybe my father saw something that I didn't know at the time, right? So, but one thing I remember my dad telling me that last day when we was at the airport was nobody owes you anything, right? And he told me like, look, so when you get here, nobody owes you nothing. I had one of my uncles in New York we went to New York first, Uncle Eves, and he was just like, that's the only man for you to respect, and that's all that's sort of I remember, right? It was just like, okay, cool. So I came in here, stayed with my Uncle Eves, and that was sort of like my guide, my mentor. So I think I came in, I was like 11. So from 14, 15, I think we moved to Boston. Every year I would go to New York. So whenever I needed something, Uncle Eves was the person that would hook it up. So if I need a laptop, I got to go to New York for Uncle Eves to buy me a laptop, right? If I need whatever I need, is like, yo, Uncle Eves, I need this. What's up? So it's like, oh man, you got to come to New York. So I'm 14 years old, hopping on a phone war with like $40 in my pocket, $15, for the bus, $5 or whatever it is. At the time, it was cool to me. You know what I mean? So it was then me traveling, going to New York to get whatever it is that I needed. So it was just that. So I got to a point where it was like, yeah, why am I doing that? Right. So I could get a job. I could do, you know what I mean, earn my own way. And so since that time, it was just like I said, my father said, nobody owes you nothing. Yes, it's cool. Uncle Eves has to do this for me, but I got to go all the way to New York to meet up with him. You know what I mean? It's not like he's going to stop whatever he has going on and come to Boston. So it just got to a point where it's like, you know what? You just got to get it, Jeff. So however, by any means. And so I've always just had that mentality, like from day one. It was just like, all right, not day one, but since my father told me that, and it was just like, all right.
So did your father stay in Haiti?
No. So the reason my father stayed back right before we moved here, I don't know what he had going on with my mother, decided to have twins. So it was just like, oh, well.
Wait, he decided to have twins with somebody else?
No, with my mother. I mean, I don't know what was going on. So they, I thought they were done. 12 years later, they having more kids. So
go on, Dad.
Yeah. So me and my older sister, my mom came, and then he sort of stayed back with the younger one. Just gotta get him acclimated. Like I said, it was winter time, so it probably would have been too much with the four of us with two babies. You know what I mean? So it was just.
So your father stayed back and was a single dad while your mom came here.
Yeah. My mom came up here with me. Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty tremendous story. When you think about having to separate your family and make that decision as a man, like you're gonna take two of the kids and I'm gonna keep the small ones here with me.
Hey, I can't. You know what? Like as you said, I never really thought about it like that. I really had that conversation as far as just like, why did you, how did you guys come about that decision? But I do know one thing though, right? So for me, the moment I came up here, and like I said, I was in New York. So I was behaving, but when I came to Boston, like I was a wild child. I was just, doing crazy things. to where my mother was just like, I can't deal with that. You got to come here. So my father, like less than a year, 2 years later, he had to move up here to actually put me in place.
Oh, so wait a minute, Jeff. So you was wilding out.
It was.
You was giving your mom a hard time.
Yeah, I was giving my, because it got to the point where like the spanking didn't hurt no more. So
Okay.
it was just like, all right.
So you needed that male influence.
Yeah, I needed. It's just like I needed that look
Mm-hmm.
to where it's just like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. Let me
So
do what I need to
what
do.
do you think would have happened if your father had not come up here?
Oh, I mean, so I had some of my teachers tell my mother at the time, when we used to watch was it Ricky Lake, those TV shows, and
Mhm.
had not scare straight, but they would have those kids who would get sent to juvie and things like that. So that my teachers would tell my mom like, hey, if this kid stay on that pace, that's where I end up. But at the end of the day, when I look back, it wasn't even nothing crazy that I was doing. It was just really just being a class clown, right?
Mhm.
So the worst thing I did was, get some stink bombs, and you know what I mean.
Jeff was a prankster, y'all.
That was the worst thing I did. Like, you know what I mean, with stink bombs like that. We had to evacuate the school. You know what I mean? Had to go outside for
Are you still a comedian and a prankster like that?
Nah. That was one of those things. Like I said, it was just like, what? We got this? Like, let me smell it. Let's try it out. You know what I mean?
I think, when you think about the fact that you own a dispensary, it seems like you are a risk taker. You color outside the lines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're one of the early adopters. Thinking about that industry, not everybody. I remember, shout out to Vicado. He was like, they were sending out messages about going to meetings. Tito Jackson too. And it was like at that time they really had to make sure it was diverse. And so not everybody jumped on it and went to those meetings. And now you see all of these dispensaries popping up. But I remember where it was just a conversation.
I mean, I have some of my friends that I told them about those, not actually those meetings. I didn't actually attend those meetings. So it was, I got into cannabis industry through commercial real estate. So I was actually helping one of my clients at the time, who just called me and said, hey, Jeff, I'm not sure if you know what's going on with the cannabis industry, which I was hearing things about, but quite honestly, I'm not, I wasn't, a huge cannabis connoisseur, because of my dad, and I'm Haitian, you know what I mean? It's just like, say dog, so
what's that mean?
This is drugs, this is
so what you're saying
is cocaine. This is
so
whatever.
You weren't using drugs.
So no, I was my parents, like I wasn't that, like I said, I wasn't the type of wild kid, to be doing crazy things like that. Not crazy things like that, but you know what I mean, being involved in certain things, right? So if we were around some friends or whatever it is, to consume, I'll hit it, here and there, whatnot, but I wasn't really on a daily basis. So like I said, one of my clients basically just told me like, hey, this attorney is helping people get into the cannabis industry. Like, do you want to hear about it? Because again, like, I was also an athlete playing football where, again, it was just like, oh, cannabis is bad for your lungs. It's this, it's that. So, I didn't want to have that effect. And I played college football as well. So we get drug tested. So, you know what I mean? So it was just like, that really messed up my, what I got going on here like that. Right. So,
it was frowned upon. Let's just be really, one of the reasons why I wanted to even talk to you is that it's a different time. So say you were incarcerated right now, to come out and see that there's dispensaries and you could just walk in and buy cannabis. That was not what was going on when I was growing up.
So when I heard about this, that's how I felt. I was like, what?
Like it's like weird a little bit.
So that's how I felt. So I was, but again, being curious, it was just like, what? All right, let me see what's going on. So I showed up to I think it was Hibernian Mall in Roxbury. I showed up. This attorney was, literally was there helping people with the application process. I had my laptop with me, and then we just went about it, applied, needed to provide some documents, and I had those documents. I called some of my friends like, yo, you need to meet with this attorney. Shout out to Lori Lucien. I told and introduced a couple of my friends, and then they didn't follow through. So I followed through, and I was awarded the EE license, and then after that, I sort of met you and the, other people that was in the industry, or some people that we crossed path and that was in there, and I made a lot of friends from. I created a lot of friendship. I mean, even with Tito Jackson, due to my relationship and to my skill set in commercial real estate.
Right.
So now, after you have that license, so after you've been granted, so that's the next step. You need real estate. So everybody started calling me like, "Hey,
perfect example of being in the right place at the right time."
Perfect, exactly. So all that started about created a relationship with Tito and a bunch of other individuals in this industry, and here we are.
It's interesting, the transition of just being curious and follow through, and just sort of not being scared and not needing to know all the answers, but just like, let me go check it out.
Yeah, I did not, and I mean, I've become a bigger smoker now than I was then, because
you ain't supposed to get high off your own supply. Right?
I don't get high on my own supply. But it was more so like, I mean, I need to test the product. I need to know what I'm consuming. I need to be able to talk that conversation, to talk the talk now. So I mean, I had a lot of work to do. So I went out to Cali. I went all the mature markets: California, Vegas, Washington, Toronto, everywhere that it was pretty much legal. So I was like, if I'm gonna be in this, I don't have a long history of this, and then I need to catch up. I need to know what I'm getting into. I need to have a better understanding of it. So made all the investment in myself into reading about it, into studying about it, watching documentaries, so I know the history about cannabis. And fortunately as well, I have one of my football teammates who's a grower, so he's been able to educate me. So it's definitely somebody you should interview as well. Big Smoke.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
So thinking about, you weren't a smoker. This wasn't something you planned on doing. Well, you did dab, but you wasn't really into it like that.
No, I wasn't into it like that. No.
What do you think of made you say, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go forward with this and open up a dispensary?
So two things. The first thing was the article that came out, I think late 2017, about Black Bostonians net worth being $8. I don't know if you remember that Boston Globe article.
Yeah.
That article. And then I had met Tito Jackson a few times, and we sort of had like a relationships, and then he was also the leading front person to do that. So it was just like, okay, now I sort of have a person that I could reach out to have conversation with. You know what I mean about this, right?
Tito was real heavy.
Yeah.
One of the first, I would say, people that was talking about it. And I remember being at the Hemp Fest. I think Method Man and Redman was performing, and they were also talking during their performance about Massachusetts being one of the first states that was really pioneering it getting legalized.
Yep. Oh, so Tito, yeah, definitely. So I mean, speaking of those guys, I was just gonna make sure that I have a partnership with Takal, that's currently on All Store. But Tito is actually, like I said, he's been a great guide to a lot of Black owned businesses in this industry, as far as just really just providing knowledge, guidance, and resources. And not to say sometimes those resources are the best resources, but again, you know what I mean, but access, because at the end of the day, that's one of the biggest challenge in this industry, is that we don't have a lot of access to capital and resources, right? And some of those resources are predatory lending, right? So you really have to understand and know how to conduct business, and how to negotiate, and have an attorney, have a team to really make sure that with whatever that you're doing, you're getting a second opinion on it.
Yeah. So
sharks out here.
Yeah. Well, running any business, I think, as an entrepreneur, capital is an ongoing, even with my private practice, capital, hiring employees is from what I understand, we all have the same challenges.
Absolutely.
With cash flow and just keeping that going. So, as you know, I'm a psychotherapist, and one of the things that I do on this show is we talk about how we maintain our mental health, right? And what we do to stay grounded. And I asked, what does therapy mean to you?
Smoke a lot of weed.
Now, you can't say that. No, So
That's very
seriously,
therapeutic. That's very therapeutic.
I was wondering. So weed has become your therapy?
No, I actually have a therapist. I mean, yes, it is my therapy, but I do have a therapist. I think I texted you the other day and said I had my therapist session on Saturday. So I have a
Mhm.
therapist that I actually go talk to, and he's an older gentleman that sort of, to me, he sort of resembled my dad in a sense, right? So like when I speak to him, I sort of feel like I'm talking to my dad,
Mhm.
right? Where I have a great relationship with my dad, but like, still my dad. So certain things that
Mhm.
you know what I mean, I still can't just like, hey pops, so but I just want to have that. I just want to feel that I'm having a conversation with a person that knows me, that trusts me, so I'm able to really just be open with him. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And like I said, he's a black man, so you know what I mean. So sometimes he could relate to what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So like I said, he's older, so he's seen things in a different perspective.
Mhm.
So and whatever he says that I sort of like, appreciate the advice. You know what I mean? I sort of ask him for his advice or from his perspective, if he was in my shoes. You know what I mean? So I take whatever he tells me, then I ask him, well, if you was me, what would you
Mhm.
do? You know what I mean? So I'm able to get it in two different ways where I answer the question, whether it's, whatever challenges I answered it, whether it's I agree or disagree with it, right? Then I'll ask him and for his perspective as well. So but yeah, that's sort of my
You
therapy.
know, I have to salute you. Thank you. I have some gentlemen coming on the Sparring Minds podcast at the end of the month, and one of their members doesn't believe in therapy. So I think, being that you are a black man and also Haitian, because a lot of my clients are Haitian,
Hmm.
and that's not something that is encouraged from what I'm told. Like, to go see a therapist is not something that they champion
Yeah.
in Haitian culture. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong, if you've had a different experience, but a lot of people tell me that that's
No,
just
100,
not.
100%. I mean, so I've had a lot of people when I'm very open with it now, just tell people about it. So, I tell some of my teammates and they'll be like, man, like why you telling people about your business? I'm like, I don't even know the guy. I don't even see him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I only see him when I go there. Right. And he doesn't judge me. We don't argue, and I don't feel like he's biased. I don't have to lie. I don't have to be who I'm not. Like I literally
Mm-hmm.
just get up, get dressed, throw my sweatpants on, and go over there and just like show up, and we talk about whatever it is I want to talk about, and I leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
So for me, it's like, what do you mean? What is it that you don't want to believe in? It's like
Right.
if is to me, it's just like literally just going out there and speaking out loud, having somebody just tell you their opinion or ask you questions that you were scared of asking yourself and having to answer. So
Mm-hmm.
if somebody say that they don't believe in that, it's just like, yo, you just can't be honest with yourself and
Mm-hmm.
and hold yourself accountable. So yesterday when I was asking them, we were having a conversation about like breaking the rules or bending the rules. So he asked me, so that was one of the questions he asked me. Um what happened to you, Jeff, if you break the rules? Like, do you uh, um how do you feel about that? And I'm like, I'm very accountable, so if I take a red light and the cops pull me over, I don't get mad at the cop. It's like, fuck, Jeff, like, why'd you pull the why
Yeah,
did you
watch your mouth.
I'm sorry. You know what I mean? It's just like, damn,
No
Jeff,
cursing.
oh my bad. I thought it was 10 o'clock, the kids
It
at
is.
night.
Wait, you good.
My
Yeah,
bad. Oh,
that might just slipped in there, but just so you don't go too far.
yeah. I'm very accountable. I read this book, Four Agreements, and part of those four agreements with yourself is being accountable. So you know
Yes.
what I mean. I'm very accountable with myself. Whatever happens, you know what I mean. Whether it was 100% my fault, 50% my fault,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is, I sort of say, you know what, that's on you, Jeff. You should have never,
Now, did you learn to do that on your own?
Four Agreements. That
How
book.
so the book helped you?
Yeah, the book helped me.
That
Yeah,
is a good book, guys.
that's a great book.
So not everybody likes to take accountability. So I do think people are afraid of being psychoanalyzed or somebody telling them what to do, which that's not what therapy does. We don't tell you what to do.
Yeah, we
But
don't.
we do strongly encourage certain self-reflection, I would say, and self-awareness. So How did you come about deciding that you were going to get a therapist?
How did I come about? Well, first I went to see a therapist. It was one of those years that before I was 30. Well, before that, I don't remember how old I was, but I think I was dating or talking to multiple women and wanted to change, and I didn't know how to handle that. So I think I was talking to my PCP, and she just asked me, everything okay? And then I was just like, everything's cool. I'm kind of having these problems, girl problem. And she's like, you can talk to a therapist, right? I'm like, and she said, there's a therapist upstairs. And I was like, oh, really? So I went upstairs, and there's a therapist who happened to be available. So, I sort of told her my problem, and she was like, well, you could just be honest and tell them this and that, and then you don't have to feel anything about that. So, fast forward few weeks, few days later, first woman I was happened to be open with, the reaction that I expected, I got something totally different. And I was like, oh,
what
wow.
did you expect?
Well, for her to say, oh, she's not dealing with me, but that's not what she said. So I was like, wow, that worked. So I didn't think about it this way. I didn't see it that way, but this reflection, this therapist made me see. And then once I applied it, it worked. So it's just like, I don't feel like I have to live in a lie. I have to feel like I need to live this life anymore. So I could just be honest, whatever happened, because at that point I wanted to change anyway. So it's just like, hey, here's what it is. Feel how you feel. And it was just like, just put it out. So then it got to a point where like, oh, you could just really just be honest. And
so the therapist helped you get comfortable in your own skin and speak your truth.
Exactly.
Without fear of
the
rejection
unknown.
or unknown.
Yeah. The unknown, not the rejection. There's just the unknown. So at that point, like I said, that I knew that there was nothing that I fear at that point, but I just didn't know how to do it.
Right.
So it was just like, well, you could just say it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just be nice, be polite. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. I was like, oh.
So I'm gonna push you a little bit here because I know you're speaking like politically correct and stuff. So you dating multiple women and you want to change, and then the therapist helps you to be able to be honest with one of the women?
No, just like we just be honest with me. Like, just whatever that you're doing, just be honest and say this is what you're doing. Right? If you're not looking to be in a relationship, I'm not looking to be in a relationship, and whatever it is, whatever that I was dealing with, several and space that I was with those women at the time.
I'm glad you said that, because I think often, shout out to all of the people on the live. We got a lot of people on the live. Most of them just say Facebook user. So if I'm not saying your name, it's because it says Facebook user. But shout out to Remy in the city, J.O. City. Thanks for the check-in. D Foxhole, what's going on? Bomb Squad, D the Weed. Okay, y'all. Urban Heat is in the building, checking out the show. So I think that what I've found is that most men that I've worked with have said something similar, of that unknown and of not wanting to tell people their truth and have that reaction. That most women are okay with it, and all they really wanted is let me have the decision to make a choice.
100%.
So if you put it out there, let me be able to decide what I want to do versus you lying to me.
100%.
So shout out to your therapist for helping you get there. That's dope.
And that's all it is. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, is give everybody the opportunity to make a choice. So when I realized that, like, oh wow, that's really what it is. So you don't necessarily have to, carry this weight around and feel like you gotta live this triple life, double life, or whatever it is that just be honest and allow them to make a decision. So
I think that's dope. I wish a lot more people would allow themselves the opportunity to try therapy, right? What do you really got to lose, right? I think if you spend time really identifying a good fit, it's helpful. I think it can really help you. And I think, even if it's a life coach, the most brilliant, most successful people have advisors, coaches, therapists to help them navigate the complexities of this world.
Absolutely,
I
you
would say.
definitely need it. You can't do what you don't know, and that's one of my saying. You can't do what you don't know, right?
Mhm.
You can't do what you don't know. Michael Jordan was the best basketball player in Chicago, but when he went to Washington, he had to learn new playbook, new system,
Mhm.
right? And he had to learn how to play with these guys. So again, you can't do what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So you need guidance, you need mentors, you need to know how to say certain things. You know what I mean? So you definitely have to have those type of guidance and all over the place. And that again, that's what's one of the reasons why I have Kings amongst Kings, because everything that I've done in my life is because I've had help. It's
Mhm.
because I know I can't do what I don't know. So who do I need to talk to give me guidance on how to get to that level? Who's been to that level that I need to say, hey, how do I get here? Or who do I need to talk to? Right. So if you're not willing to ask and not willing to have these conversations, there's no scaling.
Yes.
You're
You
just gonna
know,
plateau.
oh my goodness, I'm so glad you said that. One of the things I was taught is anything you want to learn, identify people who have done it and ask them how they did it and actually listen
Mm-hmm.
and then just do what it is they told you
Yeah.
to do. And you said something earlier about follow up and follow through. How many times, in life do we just not take the shot, right? And you will always miss 100% of the shots you don't take,
Yeah.
you know? Now, talk to me about your fears because you sound like you're very successful. You take a lot of risks. Have you ever been afraid? Is there anything you haven't done and you haven't followed through on?
Fears. Um, I don't even want to say this my biggest fear. I don't even want to say it, but it's I don't even want to say it because I don't. It's not up to me. You know what I mean?
I know what you're gonna say
It's not up to me.
because I have that too.
Um,
Ever since my dad
yeah,
passed away.
yeah. It's not. So I'm not. Yeah. So that's my biggest fear. But outside of that, um, just not being able to, not having a choice, not having an option. You know what I mean? And that's to me. That's what everybody should strive to want, and that's what the
Mhm.
world should be. You know what I mean? For everybody to just have a choice and ability to do what they want, right? You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's not like, the world is not equal. We're not gonna be equal, right?
Ooh, that's a good one, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's controversial because we have so many laws and so many things talking about equality and try to level the playing field.
Mm.
I believe being a psychotherapist, being an independent clinical social worker, that there will always be variation. We will never be completely the same,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Absolutely.
okay.
That's exactly.
But we can all have the ability if we wake up every day. I think I saw that on one of the videos for Kings Amongst Kings. Your speaker, he's gonna be there this time.
Alex.
Alex asked, "Do you have everything you need to succeed?"
Mm-hmm.
And some people pause. But if
Yeah.
you're able to wake up and you're able to breathe,
You do.
we all at that point are equal.
Yes.
If we wake up and you woke up, and we all at this table woke up, at that point we're the same. Now what we do after that
Yeah.
is where the differences start to occur.
Exactly. And what I mean by we're not equal, we all start in a different, playing field,
Mhm.
right? One of the biggest thing that it took me a while to realize is that, well, it not took me a while to realize, like, I just wasn't really moved by it. And no offense, it was just like I was born in Haiti, right? So my father used to talk about Jean-Claude Duvalier, Jean-Claude Duvalier Senior, Jean-Claude Duvalier, the son, right?
Who's that?
So that was a Haitian president.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was born. I think Aristide was the next president I came on. So these are all black men,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then there was another president, Preval. I think that was when I came up here. That was the current president. So fast forward to 2007, 2008, Obama being the first black president here. That's not a big
Deal for you.
It's not a big deal for me,
Right.
right? And like I said, I'm going through life, just focus on whatever it is going through. Okay, oh yeah, it's cool, Obama,
Mhm.
whatever. But it's not a big deal to me because of where I come from.
Correct.
You know what I mean? So being
Which
able,
makes so much sense. And you bring that up. I didn't even think about that myself. But yeah, that's not going to be such a phenomena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things in my life where, oh man, I forgot where we was going to point with this.
You well talking about Haiti, and we both just had a brain freeze.
Yeah.
I can't tell you where you was going with it because I'm not.
What was
in
the
your head.
question? Because what I
Well, we were talking about your fears.
okay, so no, I think I sort of answered that question. But anyway, so with me, so it's just like I've seen that before. So a lot of times, I mean, not a lot of times. So for me, when I was living here, going through my process, it's just like, okay, I'm just trying to figure life out, right? I'm just trying to get through, like, what is America, right?
Yes.
So
talking about the equal, having an equal playing field,
Yeah.
us being on the same playing
yeah.
field.
So for me, it was just like, why did I leave my country to come here, right? So that was the journey that I was on. Like, what, trying to figure myself out, trying to figure out life, trying to get to where I'm at today, like understanding, like, what's the difference between America and Haiti.
Well, I think that's
DR
a
or
valid,
any other country.
Right. That's a valid point. When we talk about, one of the things I wanted to talk about was assumptions that people have made about you. So assumption coming into it is that you were, impoverished, or, you were poor or whatever. And you're basically saying, no, my life was good in Haiti. I didn't come here for the reasons that, most people might think.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing is, this is my perspective of what America is, right? So for a lot of people that leave their country, certain people that leave their country, it's that you are told that this is a land of opportunity, right? And in your mind, you could create whatever opportunity that you think it is, and then you could watch television and you could see whatever it is, and then you could see a person that looks like you. You could see a person that looks like your grandmother. You could see somebody on television that's living a life that you say, "Oh, I want that." And it's a make-believe life. It's a fallacy that you just get up and you come here and you expect the same thing, but it's not. You know what I mean? So to me, America it's a make-believe. The opportunities does exist, right? But it's not what we all think. Especially coming from another country where if you don't speak the language here, it doesn't matter how smart, how many degrees you are. If we can't talk, if we can't communicate,
right?
If you can't read, you can't understand.
So when you came here, was that a struggle learning English? And
I was fortunate. I had cousins around my age, and I was young. I was able to pick up the language within like a year. So I started speaking English within like a year.
That's amazing.
So
how many times I've attempted to learn French and Spanish.
Yeah. I mean,
I am just not fluent at all.
I had maybe like 6 kids in the house. So we lived on, was it Owencroft Road at the time? So we was like about 6 kids. My uncle's wife, my uncle's side of the family, they all live together. I feel like this is when people live as a community, family oriented,
right?
Cousins.
Your cousins wasn't gonna let you not learn English.
Yeah. So it was like all cousins. Then the cousins come over on Sundays. Then that's the cousin's friend down the street. So our street, even one of my attorneys, like we grew up on the street together. So he's an attorney now. So you know what I mean? So he's my attorney. So that's my resource, from childhood.
That's dope.
You know what I mean? So we grew up in the same street. So we had a lot of kids that we all went to the Woodrow Wilson. There was a Haitian community. So at some point you had to pick up
had to learn.
You just had to learn it.
Was it? Do you recall it being difficult?
Honestly, I can't even tell you like when I started speaking it. You know what I mean? Like I just knew that I was here. We had a routine. Saturday mornings or Saturday cartoons. After school is watching Spider-Man. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Nickelodeon. So it's just like that's all we did as kids. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
right.
It was like, okay, we after school we home watching TV, watching Judge's Jungle, just like kid stuff. You know what I mean? Listening to music, unrated music at the time. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and hanging out with other kids. Like, what else we gonna do? We had no worry in the world. Eating Frosted Flakes.
That's still my favorite cereal too.
But
I think when you're immersed in a culture, and you have people around. They say you can pick it up a lot
Yeah.
faster.
And plus they were Haitian too. So it's not that it was just American kids. So even if, like, for me, even they could say something to me, like at the time, I'm sure they would say something I didn't know, and I could ask them in Creole, then they would repeat it, and I'll get it. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
we had that, and I went to school when Woodrow Wilson, so we had ESL. So we had ESL courses. So I was a ESL student. English as second language. So yeah. So we made it work. By the time I got to high school, I was speaking fluent English.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really, I admire anyone who speaks more than one language, because that means your brain is processing everything in both. Like that's how it was described to me. Like sometimes the translation can go back and forth. So I think that's amazing,
Indeed,
especially when I struggle with it. So
yeah.
shout out to all those that can. I during the pandemic, I started using this app called Duolingo to try to learn.
I didn't get my Spanish up. That's
to try to learn. So talk to me about what's next for Jeff. I know you said you got your 5-year plan and expansion of the business. What's a goal that's a big, hairy, audacious goal that you got that's still lingering, that you're like, you know what, if I make this goal happen, it's going to change the whole trajectory of my business and my life?
I mean, honestly, is kings amongst kings. I mean, I think that we've done a lot of great work, but again, I haven't kings amongst kings haven't really reached its full potential. The work we've done thus far has been more so on a personal scale, person to person scale, where we've helped. I think last year about five of those 5 kings acquire investment properties last year.
Okay.
Right. So become homeowners or investors. Some of the brothers invested in each other. Had some of the kings invest in Lowkey, invest in residential fix and flip projects. So we've made money together, right? So which is the biggest thing, is keeping the money within the cycle, where okay, you have a skill set. Hey, I need you. I'm gonna hire you. So we've done that at Kings, but we haven't done it with the program that we plan on launching, which is called the Bail Program, which provides you with the 5 resources that you need, which is your banker, your accountant, your insurance broker, and your lawyer. And I said 5, and the 5th one is your therapist. But we call it the Bail Program. The therapist is just like, that's the add-on.
Okay.
Right.
Well, let me find out I can get down with this.
Yeah. So
okay. I like that.
But the Bail Program is those are the resources that every man, and woman needs. You know what I mean? You access to capital, access to your bank, how the banking system works, how the money moves. You need that knowledge on that, right? Your accountant, how to pay your bills, how to pay your taxes, because Uncle Sam, you got to give Uncle Sam his, right? But there's ways how you could give Uncle Sam less, right? So you need to have somebody smart to educate you on that, on how to leverage your kids, leverage your home, you know what I mean, to as tax write-offs, a bunch of different things that you could do to create write-offs for you, right? In your insurance broker, because again, every asset that you have, like for example, this painting in here, right? So you could get these painting appraised, right? And get them appraised, and then now they have a value. So again, whoever made it and however it gets appraised, it could be $5,000. Now you have a piece of art that's worth $5,000. So if somebody broke in here and stole something, like, you have insurance on that, right? So again, so understanding how you could insure your jewelry, right? So a lot of people have jewelry, but the jewelry is not insured, right? And if they lose it, they lose it. If they get robbed, they get robbed. Or if something happens to the jewelry, they can't even replace it because it's not insured. And then also having like I said, the lawyer is to make sure that all these items are protected and it's properly placed, how it's supposed to. And we already talked about the therapist and why it's important to keep your mental.
What's so great about those pillars, is that there's 6 categories of self-care, and I think holistically a lot of times we only focus in on the maintenance side of self-care, but there's financial self-care
Yes.
as well. So all of those things that you just named really allow you a good foundation to be able to thrive and not just survive. And I love that that's what you're saying.
And honestly, we all, a lot of the physical, the mental, a lot of time comes from the financial piece.
I'm glad you said
All right.
that.
If your money ain't right, you're not eating the right food, so your physique ain't right. Right. If your money ain't right, your mindset ain't right, because you can't walk into a room, you can't be confident. In certain rooms you don't even want to go to, certain neighborhoods you don't want to go to, certain places you don't want to be because you feel inferior, you feel less than because your money ain't right. And that's one of the things that, like I said, having a father always taught me. And my father was like, man, nobody got to know how much money you got in your pocket.
True. And but then you think society wise, men are being cultivated to be providers, and if you don't know how to do that,
for sure,
right, I think that that's some of the things that lead to depression in men looks very different than depression in women.
100%.
Adultery, being promiscuous, drinking, drugs, irritability, anger, all of these type of things, and most of it is stemming from not feeling like you can provide for yourself.
100%.
So I think you're right about that. So thinking about the bet on self moment, right? We sort of covered a lot of different things already, but is there a pivotal point? And I think you probably shared it already. I'm thinking about, you kind of interweaved it already, but I'm gonna ask you anyway, because people like, shit, some of the listeners might be, she didn't ask him about his bet on self moment, she asked everybody else. So my dad passed away 5 years ago, and when he passed away, I had to find something to help me through my grieving process. So one of the things he used to always tell me was, baby, you need to bet on yourself. You need to have something that is your own. Those companies, the things that you're doing, those are not your businesses. You need to have your own business. So I feel like those are those moments where you have an epiphany and you take control over your own life, despite your culture, your upbringing, your family, lack thereof. And you say, if not now, then when? And if not me, then who? Do you feel like you've had a moment you want to share that you haven't shared already? Now that I've told you what a bet on self moment sounds like and is.
I mean, I think I have a few of those moments, and I think as an entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs will tell you, they many times they thought about quitting entrepreneurship. You know what I mean? I mean, even though we know that going to work for somebody else is not it, but entrepreneurship is something that's very difficult. My bet on myself moment, like I think it's been a few times, but it was actually the first time when I got into real estate. I was actually working at State Street as an accountant, and I did notice that most of the accountants, one of the accounts that I was handling, all those portfolios was primarily real estate. So it was just like, oh, so this is where the money is. And then I had a friend of mine who told me about, that was actually doing real estate at the moment, and basically just told me like, look, you bought a home before and you have some experience. Like, why not? Why just get your license and jump into this? And again, like you said, I'm a risk taker. So it was just like the way he made it was just actually the way he made it sound. It was just like, oh, okay, I could do this. And then I went ahead and I did it. So my father is an entrepreneur. So in Haiti, he had his own business. So for me, I've always wanted to be in business. I just never knew like what it was going to be. Like I said, my father being a Haitian man, not growing up and being raised in America. So there's only certain things he could teach me. There's only certain things he could show me in America. Right. So I had to find my own way. I had to find my own guidance. My father could teach me how to be a father. He could show me how to be a better man. He could show me how to be a great husband. Right. But as far as successful business in America, he can't show me because he haven't done that. So for me to know, okay, if I need to be a successful business owner, this is what I need to do for myself, right? I need to find that guidance. I need to find mentors. I need to find those pillars, to teach me about money, to teach me how money works, to teach me about, accounting and so on and so forth. So that my bet on myself moment was just when I realized like, okay, I'm my father's son. right? I want to be a businessman. I want to be in business. I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't know how to do it. And you can't do what you don't know. So how are you going to do that? By taking the risk and getting those resources. And so that's the reason when it came down to it, it was just like, if you have those 4 resources that you trust and that's here to help you level up, you will level up.
Yeah. So we are like almost at the end of tonight's conversation. We got probably like 5 minutes or so left. You mentioned this low key living. You want to tell us a little bit about what does that mean?
Lowkey living, I mean, it's a lifestyle. So I'll tell you, right? When I first got into this, it was just, I was excited. It was just like, oh, and I was consuming, I was traveling, I was trying new products. So, I just thought like, oh man, especially I was leveling up. I was like, oh man, it would be a cool name to call the dispensary, Leveling Up. Application, it was Leveling Up. And one day after a real estate showing, me and one of my real estate partners or associates, I want to say, happened to to be involved in a session. So we were having a
for all of the people out there that indulge in cannabis, do you know what a session is? Do you want to break that down, Jeff?
We was having a
speaking
session
in code,
and it was a high level session, high level conversation,
elevated session,
like very elevated conversation. And he's like, wow, Jeff, for all this time that I've known you, I would have never thought that you indulge, you consume. Like, you're a very low key guy. And it was at that moment I was like, I think I should call this dispensary low key, because it fit my lifestyle. Again, I went from not consuming, from not necessarily being a guy. Even though when I started to and I liked it, I enjoyed it, right? I found passion into the work, into the history of cannabis and the healing aspect of it. And I remember one time when I really knew cannabis work, I was playing semi-pro football, and after a game, I was hurting and I smoked and pain went away, and I was like, wow, this thing's really work. So I knew that this is something that I wanted to basically be involved in. So the low-key lifestyle basically is just that it's my lifestyle. It's a lot of different people's lifestyle, right? People that consume, but nobody really knows that they consume. They don't have to be all smell like it, all in social media about it, or so on and so forth. Where when I started doing my research, I've never seen anybody hang out at the dispensary. I have never seen anybody hang out with their weed man, right? Or me and my weed man, we're going to the club, or you know what I mean, with their connect. It's just like you grab this stuff and you go on your way. And then as long that connect was consistent and had good product, then then he was employed. So for me, it was that's just sort of the lifestyle it is for me. It's just like being a person that consume, but nobody has to be all in your business. It's very low key.
I like that. I think low key in general, I think you can do that with so many aspects of your life.
Yeah.
I say that often with social media. Most people are sharing their highlight reel.
Yeah.
I think most people who are on social media and they use it as a diary should get a therapist,
Absolutely.
If you're just going on there venting and you're cussing people out and you're having whole arguments on social media, that's a red flag that you probably should go talk to somebody.
What's a crazy thing is like obviously, there's some people that you've seen their life, you've seen them have kids, or you could say, oh man, like I've known you for a while, right? But there's some people that you really know these people and you've never met them, right? So if you could know a person and you've seen certain things about them in certain development, and then you say, oh man, I've known this person for a while. But there's people that you've never seen, but like they've given you so much access that you never ask. People don't even ask and tell you so much about their lives, to where not only you know them, and then they become predictable at the same time.
Yeah, I like low key. I think that doesn't mean that you're not vulnerable. Doesn't mean that you don't share.
Sure.
You're not authentic. It's just to me, it also says peace and joy. I'm chill. I'm at peace.
And that's what I want. So you asked,
Yeah.
I think you asked me the question of what's the next 5 years for me is peace. That's what I'm trying to get involved.
Mhm.
I just want peace. Just want to be able to do everything that I want to do, enjoy my life, enjoy my family, make money, give back, but primarily just want to have peace.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think joy and peace is most of us. That's what we're seeking, because happiness, everybody, is a fleeting emotion.
yeah,
You'll go through being happy, then you'll be sad, and then you'll have all types of emotions. But
yeah.
you can have a sense of peace. You can always go back to your base.
Yes,
So
yes. Being at peace is very important. I mean,
hold up, gotta let this go. Oh, did we miss it? Oh no, that's still my instrument. Okay, I thought I heard my disclaimer. Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just saying, being at what was it? Being at peace is it's the most important thing.
Mhm.
Happiness. Just reading a text message, reading an email could get you on. Could get you out of your happiness. But being at peace, knowing that I'm going to bed, everything is okay. I'm gonna wake up, everything's okay.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
yeah,
Cat Williams said it best, right? When I wake up, I have everything that I need.
yeah,
If I'm able to breathe, I got my limbs, my brain and mind is working and functioning.
yeah.
I have the ability to make anything go happen in my life.
100%.
And I think if you think about it like that, you'll be in a better space.
Yeah.
You'll feel encouraged. I think we just allow so many things in life to bring us down because of the unknown
100%.
or of it not going our way. And I think we need to get more comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes. And honestly, just really, a few things that I preach is that, you have to take things day by day, right? You plan for the future, plan for whatever it is, but at the end of the day, you have to allow things to develop, right? You can't fast forward it. You can't, just because you ask God for something, that doesn't mean you won't get it tomorrow.
The Urban Heat. Expect the unexpected. Unorthodox radio from Boston and beyond. Heat981fm.com and iHeartStation.
I knew it was coming, y'all. That is my signal and my sign, Jeff. Closing thoughts. We are. This is like a real therapy session, right? It ends in an hour on the dot.
Closing thoughts. Live your truth, be authentic to who you are. Get help, get therapy, ask questions, be a good person. You can't do what you don't know, so you gotta ask questions. You gotta change your environment. You gotta level up. You can't be in the same place. You can't say that, this is who I am. You gotta change.
Yes.
Change is the biggest thing, that is the most important thing in life. Everything changes, so you have to change as a person. And changing as a person doesn't mean change who you are. It means growth.
Yes.
So with that being said, stay high, live low key. I got you a little gift here.
I got a gift, y'all.
So,
I'm loving season 6. I'm getting gifts every week.
So
listen, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, all the listeners. I mean, tonight we were streaming everywhere. LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So shout out to everyone who's listened. This will replay. So share the live so that people can check it out. If they weren't up at 10 p.m. tonight, they can check it out tomorrow or the next day. Follow Jeff. And you got a next Kings Amongst Kings is coming up
this Thursday
on the 25th.
25th.
So
yes.
follow his page, and it's free.
Yes.
So tap in, all the men out there, tap in. And next week, make sure you tune into another episode of Conversations with Coach La. We got the Sparring Minds podcast. The fellas are coming on here, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. And then tomorrow, tune into the Morning Cafe. As you guys know, follow the heat and keep having dope conversations, and don't be afraid to speak up. Good night, everybody. Have a great evening.
Peace.